Bruce Wayne.
I'm sorry.
I wouldn't be bothering you here, but your people keep telling me you're unavailable. You know, you really could be doing more for this city. Your family has a history of philanthropy, but as far as I can tell, you're not doing anything.
The Riddler is asking for you.
The killer left this for the Batman. Why is he writing to you?
You came. I've been trying to reach you.
Riddler's latest. It's all about the Waynes. If we don't stand up, no one will.
You got a lot of cats.
I have a thing about strays. The bat and the cat. It's got a nice ring.
A new friend of yours?
I'm not so sure. I'm just here to unmask the truth about this cesspool we call a city. You're part of this too.
Hands up! Stay still!
How am I part of this? Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were. Bruce Wayne. All these years, you lied to me, Alfred. We all have our scars, Bruce.
He's still away.
He's involved in this?
No, he's not involved.
How do you know? He's a vigilante!
Who are you under there? What are you hiding?
Selena, they'll throw your life away.
Don't worry, honey. I got 9 of them.
It can be cruel, poetic, or blind. But when it's denied, it's through violence you may find.
Justice. The answer's justice.
Come on, vengeance. Let's get into some trouble.
Welcome back, everyone. This will be my new video for the Batman trailer they just released. There's a bunch of new footage and Easter eggs, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We'll just start at the beginning of this and work our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs and WTF moments as we go through the trailer footage. But it looks like they start with a new scene of this new candidate for mayor talking to Bruce Wayne. This woman seems like she's the candidate for the new mayor after the old one is killed by the Riddler. I believe that's what they're doing at the beginning of the trailer here. All the people are gathered for the mayor's funeral as the Riddler is about to attack them again. And she's just raking Bruce Wayne over the coals a little bit because she claims that his family, the Waynes, historically have done a lot of philanthropy for the city, like traditional philanthropy, but he has not. So she's asking him to do that again. And the funny way they cut his reaction into this between the footage of her grilling him about not doing anything for the city and all the separate scenes of his car chase with the Penguin when he's going after him with the Batmobile, just blowing up everything along the highway, just driving through a whole bunch of stuff, just destroying everything in his path as he's trying to take down the Penguin. And then cutting back to him in this conversation, just chuckling a little bit like, haha, not doing anything for the city. When she's talking about his people, she means all the people that run Wayne Industries, all of his support staff, all the people like Alfred, who are sort of like a buffer between him and just regular people on the street. Because even though he's spending all of his time as Batman, this is like Batman Year 2, so he's still in the thick of becoming the version of Batman that we know from the comics. There's still all the regular daily business of Wayne Industries going on in the background, which he's just completely uninterested in. The way Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves have talked about Batman during this movie is that he has absolutely no interest in the Bruce Wayne persona. He has no interest in being Bruce Wayne. So if you just break down the number of scenes and the costumes that he has, he spends way more time in this movie in Batman persona and Batman mode than he does in Bruce Wayne mode. This is him just arriving at the mayor's funeral in his classic, I believe it's a Corvette. I'm not a huge car person, so I don't know which year this is, but because he is Bruce Wayne, he's a billionaire, it is a Batman movie, this is just a particularly collectible Corvette, like a very valuable one. If you've seen any of the behind the scenes of the Flash movie with Michael Keaton's Batman coming back for that, the older version of Batman, I believe he drives a Maybach during that movie. So it wouldn't be a Batman movie if Batman wasn't driving really awesome cars, all kinds of different cars, not just the Batmobiles. This is also his garage too, where he takes Gordon while he's wearing the Batman costume. Like, you see all of his classic cars here. And his Batmobile in this movie is mostly just a souped up muscle car that he's heavily modified, but it seems like he destroys it on the regular almost every night that he takes it out. But he's a billionaire, so what are extra car parts to him? This brand new scene in what seems like one of the Riddler's crime scenes, or maybe the Riddler's apartment that they find with this big map on the ground, is just a map of Gotham City where it says a real change. And that's just a reference to change in Gotham. Like, the Riddler's whole thing in this movie, even though he's one of the traditional Batman villains, is that he's trying to root out all this corruption in Gotham City. During this, Carmine Falcone is the most powerful mob member in the city. But there's also the idea that there are several other corrupt figures in the government, the mayor being one of them, as well as Gil Colson, who's the city prosecutor, as well as the current chief of police, Pete Savage, who's this character here, who you can see yelling at Gordon about Batman being at their Riddler crime scene. Like, what is he doing here? He's a vigilante. Like, he hates the idea of Batman. They have that same voiceover dialogue during a different scene where it seems like the Riddler is trying to call Batman using this little question mark here and hiding his caller ID. Then the Riddler lets him know that he knows his secret identity, calling him Bruce Wayne, saying, "You're not as smart as I thought that you were." So if it wasn't clear, the Riddler does know Bruce Wayne's identity. If you saw the last trailer video that I did, there's actually some footage that implies that the Riddler knew Bruce Wayne as a child and Thomas and Martha Wayne, his parents, because of the Gotham City orphanage. You see the question mark circling this little boy wearing glasses. I believe that's meant to be Riddler as a child, but you see young Bruce Wayne as a child standing right next to him in this lineup, and Thomas and Martha Wayne, his parents, also standing right next to all these boys. So I think what they're trying to imply is that the Riddler was raised in the Gotham City orphanage, and then later in this trailer, where you see like this Riddler graffiti where it all began, that probably has something to do with the Gotham City orphanage and something that happened to him as a child. So they're putting a bit of a Batman Hush, Thomas Elliott spin on this version of the Riddler. The movie's just borrowing from a number of Batman comic book storylines. I've talked a little bit about this giant Easter egg that they've been putting in all the trailers here. So The Sins of My Father is a reference to Thomas Wayne, who actually saved Carmine Falcone's life when they were younger. So Carmine Falcone has sort of had this weird relationship with the Waynes and felt indebted to them, and that sort of carries on with Bruce Wayne in present day. Even though if you've read Batman The Long Halloween, Bruce Wayne doesn't want to have anything to do with Carmine Falcone. The No More Lies and Coulson references are a reference to the mayor who he kills, like he writes No More Lies on his face in duct tape here. This is the mayor's dead body. Gil Colson is the city prosecutor who seems like he's corrupt, putting people behind bars for crimes that they didn't commit. Savage is a reference to the current police commissioner, Pete Savage, implies that he's sort of connected to Carmine Falcone or he's corrupt in some way. And renewal is a lie just sounds like the idea that there's this renewal that they're trying to hype in Gotham City, but that's also being controlled by Carmine Falcone in the lie. Like Carmine Falcone and the mob are somehow controlling the renewal of Gotham City. They give you a bunch more scenes of Batman with Catwoman, like they call this trailer The Bat and the Cat. It seems kind of like they're at the building where she lives because there are all these cats around her and she says that she collects strays. I love the way he jokes too. Seems like you have a lot of cats here. Alfred sort of questions her role in all this, like, "Oh, seems like you made a new friend." And he's like, "We'll see." If you can't tell, on this monitor behind him here in the Batcave where they're at, this is actually Catwoman wearing her wig. If you couldn't tell, Selina Kyle, it seems like her regular job is working at the Iceberg Lounge for Penguin. So I think the idea is that the Penguin, during the events of the Batman movie, is sort of like an underboss, like he's also rising in power, but he's not nearly as powerful as someone like Carmine Falcone. When you see the Riddler in this giant facility here, and then this giant action scene with Batman taking out all of his men, this actually seems like it might be happening a little bit later in the movie, just based on how big all these explosions are. It seems like the Riddler has been broadcasting all of his crimes while he's committing them, like he's live streaming himself, so he's becoming a bit of a pop culture icon in Gotham City, rallying support for his cause. You see all the men wearing outfits that are similar to his with question marks drawn on them, like they're this henchman from the classic Batman comics. And the way they've described the film is that it's sort of like a Saw type of game where you have Jigsaw rigging up a couple games that people have to solve in order to save themselves. So it sounds like the Riddler is targeting the very powerful but corrupt people in Gotham and putting them in traps like the Saw movie with riddles that Batman has to solve or they'll die if Batman does not solve the riddles. Like during this trailer, we hear another new riddle from the Riddler, and we actually hear Batman solve it, which we haven't heard in the previous trailers. It's a pretty simple riddle, like you probably figured it out before Batman answered the question himself. The Riddler says, "It can be cruel, poetic, or blind, but when it's denied, it's violence you may find." He's talking about justice. As they intercut with the footage of the Riddler blowing up part of the Gotham City harbor here in what seems like the sewers where Batman is with the police. This is just a longer version of the scene where the police come to this diner to arrest the Riddler we saw from the last trailer. Like, he's not wearing his costume here, but we see that Batman is there with them while this is happening. When Batman is talking to Alfred saying, all these years you lied to me, it probably has something to do with what his father did, his relationship with maybe Carmine Falcone, or what his family had been doing with the philanthropy in Gotham City, just their ties to the other corrupt figures in power. Like, the Riddler is somehow implying that his family is somehow complicit in the bad things that have happened to Gotham City. You see a much bigger team up with Catwoman where it seems like they're taking down Riddler's men. Like I said, it seems like this big action scene is happening towards the end of the film. If you remember one of the last trailers, it also looks like Batman has to stop himself from killing the Riddler. Like, he really unleashes on him and it kind of freaks Catwoman out just a little bit. Like, holy crap, this guy's kind of crazy too. But if you spotted any new Easter eggs in the brand new footage that I didn't talk about during the video, just write them below in the comments. Like the trailer says, the movie's coming out at the beginning of March, so there'll be a bunch of Batman stuff happening really soon. And we'll also probably get some more Flash movie trailer footage with Michael Keaton's Batman when they start releasing the Batman movie. So we're going full Batman into the Batverse next year. Like, we just got Spider-Man No Way Home with a bunch of different versions of Spider-Man from the multiverse. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland. Now we're doing the same thing with Batman in a bunch of different universes next year. Big reminder, the Star Wars Book of Boba Fett episodes are starting this week. I'll be doing full episode videos. My episode 1 video will post Wednesday after they release it. Make sure you have alerts enabled for my channel so you don't miss that. Everyone click here for my brand new Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness trailer video, and click here to learn about the alternate ending for Spider-Man No Way Home and all the deleted scenes. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Let us form before strength.
Has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Gives motivation without purpose.
An ally has been slain. Enemy double kill. An enemy has been slain.
Doubt is the greatest enemy. What a strike.
Killing spree.